I wanted to throw my hat into this conversation, and I don't even know if it's truly a conversation to be had, but I want to talk about the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster that dropped today. Now, it dropped out of nowhere. If you were keeping up with the news, there was a rumor that potentially this game was going to be come out in a remastered or remade way. Now, the reason for today's topic of conversation is because I was on Twitter, and I was reading some stuff about people, and they were having an argument about a remake versus a remaster. And they were saying that I can't believe that the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster is called a remaster because it's actually a remake, or we need to define better what remake is versus what remaster is. And I thought to myself, I saw the trailer for it, I saw some of the gameplays for it, and it is odd to me that anyone would believe that the game is anything else besides a full-on remake, because that's what the game is. Now, if we look at the definitions of a remaster versus a remake, we get two different answers. So let's look at that real quick. A game remaster is an updated version of a video game that focuses on enhancing visual quality, audio, and potentially performance, while largely retaining the original gameplay and story. Now let's use The Last of Us as an example. If we grab The Last of Us, because they've had endless remakes and remasters, right? We look at the original game, which is here on the left, and you see how that looks. Now, if you look on the right, that right there is a remake. You see how it looks more modern on the right? It looks like it has better lighting, like the cinematics are redone completely. The character models don't even necessarily look the same because it's completely built from the ground up. Now, those are the differences between a remastered and a remake. Now, if we grab this image right here, we get to look at the original PS3, and then you get to look at the remastered version. Now, if we concentrate on those two in particular, you see how it's all kind of the same. Just that on the remastered version, it just looks a little bit more sharper, looks a little bit better, looks more enhanced for it to play better on the PS4. So it feels like it's optimized for the PS4, and so it doesn't feel as dated, but it keeps the same look, it keeps the same feel, it keeps the same vibe because it's not rebuilt. That's what a remastered is right there. Now, if you look at the right, all the way to the right, you see the remake, you see the big difference. You see how that looks like a completely new model with completely new lighting, and it's built from the ground up. That's a remake. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're looking at the definitions for these things and they're dated, but I don't think they are, because over the past 5 years, at least, over the last 10 years, at least, in video games, in the video game world, which I cover, which I'm here, which I'm always playing, I always see a remake, and it always looks like Joel does right here on the right. It's a completely brand new story built from the ground up. Is the story the same? Yes. Is the gameplay the same? Kind of. It's a little bit more modernized for what we're playing now, but it's basically like an updated brand new version of a story that we had before. That's the difference. That's what a remake is. And to me, a remastered has always been enhancing a little bit what we had before. Let's take up one more example here. Let's look at Tess right here and how she looks in the remastered. She looks basically like the PS3 version, but look at her in the remake. Completely different, built from the ground up. These other shots right here as well. Look at them. I mean, you can see the difference night and day. Now, why am I saying this? Well, if we go and look at the definition for a remake in gaming, it is creating a new version of an existing game from scratch, often with modernized graphics, gameplay, and sometimes even story elements. Now, I say this because I want to compare these two images. That right there. Look at the Oblivion Remaster, quote unquote. We're going to say remaster, but it's really not. Look at the difference. Doesn't that look like a leap? The original came out back in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, and now this new one has come out in 2025, so it's almost 20 years. 20 freaking years. So of course the game is going to look very different. The game is going to look new. It's going to look brand new. To me, on the right, it looks rebuilt from the ground up. It looks like it's a brand new game. Look at the model here of the enemy. Look how they look. Look at the model of the castle. Look at the sky. Look at the foliage. Look at the mountains added. Look at the bridge. Look at the armor. Look at everything. I mean, it is insane, the difference. Let's look at one more. Look at that. Tell me that the right isn't built from the ground up. Of course it is. Look at the foliage. Look at the way the gate is. It's a square here and then it's like a circle here because it's remade from the ground up. If it was a remaster, then it would have looked like the left image, but a little bit more sharper, a little bit more, maybe a little bit more foliage here and there, but it would have kept the same vibe, the same look, the same color, but it clearly doesn't because it's a remake. One more image. Look at that shit right there. Look at that image. Now let's look at this. Look at that. That's a fucking remake. And again, it's at the end of the day, is it that important that we're even having this conversation? Probably not. Am I being a little bit dramatic? Am I looking into this a little deep? Sure. But it's because I wanted to really see this. I wanted to talk to you guys about this because it didn't make sense to me. This should be called the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remake because it's clearly built from the ground up. There's just no two ways around it. Now, one of the reasons that I think this is an important conversation is because let's pretend that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is about to be releasing a remastered for the 2011 version, which according to rumors they are. Now, it's probably going to look like Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 1 remastered version that released back in like 2016 and 2020. So it's going to look basically like the original game did, but a little bit better. It's going to have some new models and it's going to look sharper and it's going to look cleaner and it's going to be in 4K and all that good stuff. But what if people are like, nah, you know what? That shit looks like ass because they're comparing it to the Oblivion quote unquote remaster. Because now Oblivion has set these expectations that a remaster should look like this. A remaster shouldn't look like this. It should look like this because now we're mixing up the names. And now people might just be like, well, no, I don't want that remaster because that doesn't look like a remaster. Look at the remaster of Oblivion. Well, Oblivion isn't really a remaster. Oblivion clearly is a fucking remake. When you look at that, that is a remake because the game looks brand new. It looks like it looks like a 2025 modern game. You know what I'm saying? It's a remake. So like some people might get confused and this might create a problem later on. So I think to fix this, it should be called Oblivion Remake. I mean, if we're going by the definition of what a remake is versus what a remaster is and what it has been over the past few years, this is the first time in a few years that I see a game release, quote unquote, titled a remastered when it actually clearly, for all intents and purposes, is a remake.